Amazing Grace is not what you think it is. About a year ago, I made a post about the song and the man who wrote it. Some of you pushed back, and some said I was wrong. So I went a little deeper and I read his actual writings. I traced his finances, and what I found was even worse than what I told you before. Check the link in my description for that video. John Newton wrote Amazing Grace in 1772 and was born in London in 1725. And he believed what most Europeans believed at that time, that enslaving human beings was justified because the Bible allegedly permitted it. That was his Christianity. Newton had his famous conversion in 1748 when a violent storm nearly killed him at sea. He survived the storm and allegedly became a changed man. But here's what actually happened next. 1748, the supposed conversion, he goes right back to captaining slave ships. 1754, he has a stroke and can no longer sail. That's when he allegedly accepts his faith fully, when he can no longer profit from sailing. But here's what history books don't tell you. He immediately started investing money in someone else's slave trading operations, financially backing the trade, profiting from human trafficking from dry land. And he keeps these investments until 1764, when his business partner goes bankrupt and he loses his money. The money stops, not his conscience, the money. And that's not even the worst of it. After losing his investments in 1764, Newton stays completely silent about slavery for another 24 years. Silent, while thousands of Africans are still being enslaved. And when he does finally speak out in 1788, let's be clear. Over 400 slave revolts had already taken place. Enslaved Africans had been fighting and dying for their own freedom for generations. Newton didn't join until after the road was already built. He joined the parade, not the fight. By 1788, the abolitionist movement had already taken control of the narrative in Britain. It was safe. It was respectable. Newton simply rode the wave. He writes a pamphlet called Thoughts Upon the African Slave Trade. I got a copy of it, and I'm going to put a link in the description so you can read it yourself. Don't take my word for it. Read his own words, in his own writing, and then tell me if you think this man deserves the credit he gets. And here's what he admits. My confession, however sincere, comes too late to prevent or repair the misery and the mischief to which I have been accessory. He's admitting it himself. Too late. He knows it. Have you ever known someone who was mean, nasty, and cruel their entire life, but when they got older and felt close to death, suddenly they're doing all these good deeds trying to get into heaven? Well, that was John Newton, a man who only found a conscience when his body gave out, his money ran out, and society finally made it safe to speak up. But somehow, this song ended up in African American hymnals, in the African American Heritage Songbooks, in black churches across the country. A song written by a slave trader is being sung by the descendants of the people he enslaved. We need to ask ourselves the question, why? And Amazing Grace is not the only one. I already showed you Five Little Monkeys. I already showed you Camptown Races. And if you want the full picture, it's all in my book, Eeny, Meeny, Miny, No, The History of Racism in Children's Music and Entertainment. Link in the description. The history is always messier than what we were told. Always.